Good afternoon and welcome to yet another episode of Mr. Long Island's Search for Truth and Beauty. My name is Michael Watt, aka Mr. Long Island, and our guest this afternoon is Eileen Minogue.
Yep.
Got it right. Beautiful. From the Patient AirLift Services, and we're going to get into that. Eileen, thank you for joining us this afternoon.
Thank you.
And I've been practicing Minogue all the way over here, and I just stumbled a little bit, but don't mind me. I grew up in a house where we ate manicotti, so we're working on it.
Okay.
Eileen, the purpose of Mr. Long Island's Search for Truth and Beauty, what we do is we explore issues that need to be discussed to ensure that Long Island maintains its vitality as a region. That's the truth part of it. And the beauty part of it looks into things that make Long Island so special. And what you're covering today, you actually kind of cover a little bit of both, and we'll get into that in a little bit. But one of the things we love to do on Mr. Long Island's Search for Truth and Beauty is discuss pizza. And the reason for that is Long Island has so many diverse communities, over 126 school districts. The one thing every town in Massapequa has in common is pizza. Every town, no matter what their economic strata, or whatever the makeup is, they have a pizza place, and Long Islanders have strong opinions about pizza. So we're accomplishing or accumulating this incredible list of great pizza places on Long Island, and today's your chance to add to it. Where's your favorite pizza place? And the criteria is you had friends coming in from out of town, where would you bring them?
I'm from Massapequa, and there's a lot of really good pizza places, but I would have to say Mary's Pizza.
Mary's Pizza,
Mary's
where's
Pizza
that?
on Park Boulevard in Massapequa. And they have also Adam's Ribs. So when you go there, you have a good choice of things that you can have there. You can have the ribs.
We got to
or the
put the
pizza.
blinders on. We're only talking pizza here,
I'm going
but
to say
it's
the
not
pizza.
good.
I'm going to say their buffalo slice or their ziti slice.
Very good. And
Delicious.
for the record, I think that's the second place from Massapequa we've had mentioned. We had Phil's Pizza mentioned a couple of times.
Phil's is good too. But I like Mary's.
So as a fellow Massapequan, and it's just a coincidence in this case, I'm very proud of that. You know, I think it's terrific, but Long Island certainly has its fair share of great pizza.
Yep.
Okay, you're the Executive Director of Patient AirLift Services. Walk us through a little bit. What is that all about?
So we are a volunteer pilot organization that arranges free flights for people in need of medical diagnosis, treatment, or follow-up for military personnel and their families, or for humanitarian and compassionate needs. Basically, what we do is we connect patients to pilots.
Okay.
We have a network of volunteer pilots that donate their time, their aircraft, their talent, and their fuel, and they take strangers into their aircraft, and they take them to places where they wouldn't normally be able to access. For instance, a child from West Virginia that has cancer and they don't have certain treatment, we can go to the local airport near that family, pick them up, fly them to, say, Farmingdale Airport here on Long Island, and they can be treated at Memorial Sloan Kettering.
Wow.
It goes from one child, their mom said they had a 30% chance of survival in Virginia, and she said going to Memorial Sloan Kettering brought it up to 70%.
Wow. Do you focus mainly on children, or is it across the board? Or?
No, it's for anybody that needs our services. The criteria is that they need to be ambulatory. We're not an air ambulance. We're not medically trained. Our pilots are not medically trained, so they need to be able to get in and out of a regular general aviation aircraft, which could be a 4 to 6 seater aircraft. And then they need to have a financial need. And by that, I don't mean that we're asking somebody to be in bankruptcy.
Okay.
We're trying to prevent that from happening.
Right.
We're trying to be that support system so that they're not, going into debt trying to get to the treatment for their child, for their husband, for their brother.
Years ago, I was riding with my wife, and we were behind the Schneider's Children's Hospital ambulance, and I said to her, as long as we're never on that, we're okay.
Yeah.
Whatever's going on in our lives will be okay.
Yeah.
And knock on wood, we've never been on one, but I've been privy to see the care that they receive at the Children's Hospital. It's heartwarming, and it's two things. It restores your faith in humanity, and it also makes you feel very grateful. And I would imagine you working for this organization, or that's really one of the reasons why people would participate in PALS.
I get paid to do what I do, but I get back more than just a paycheck. Everybody that's involved with PALS, there's 9 people on the staff. There's, we have an amazing board that is the foundation that enables us to do the good that we do every day. And then there's the volunteer pilots. And then there's another step that we do, which is when somebody lands safe in Farmingdale and is going to Children's Hospital North Shore LIJ or Winthrop or somewhere, we have what we call autopilots, which are ground transportation volunteers that will meet them at the airport and put them in their car and take them to Ronald McDonald House or the hospital itself, or even sometimes it's into the city. So it's really door-to-door service that is completely free for the people that need our services. And being able to answer a phone call from a mom with a kid with cancer or a husband that's trying to get his wife the best possible treatment and saying, let us take care of how you get there, you worry about the treatment. It's a win-win for everybody.
I would imagine, and I've done some work with a group called Al's Angels, and what Al's Angels does is they put together bins of food for families that are going through what you're describing, so that they can have a decent holiday meal. Because when your kid is sick, everything becomes consumed by that, and you just don't have the time to focus on such things. And you talk to Al, and you talk to his wife, Chris, my cousin, and the rewards that they get. They never talk about the work, they talk about the rewards. You mentioned you have a lot of volunteers, you have volunteer pilots, volunteer drivers. What is the satisfaction they get? Why do they keep coming back for more?
I think when you see somebody that's in a situation that they can't control, whether somebody's sick or even Hurricane Sandy, we were aiding people in Hurricane Sandy. Haiti, we flew in the first anesthesia machine. When you realize people are going through something so horrific, it really just puts everything in perspective for yourself. Whatever you're going through, you forget about it. It gets put on the back burner. It just makes you feel good about what you're doing. The results and the return on your investment when you're doing volunteering like this, or even for me, getting paid to do something like this, it's far beyond anything that you can imagine.
And even conversely, the parents or the people going through these challenges always seem to have tremendous resolve and tremendous upbeat attitudes. I mean, has that been the case, you think, for the most part? Or can you draw from that?
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, I'm inspired every day. We cry, we laugh, we're rejoice at getting no evidence of disease emails from some of the people we fly. To be honest, today one of our patients is being waked, and tomorrow he's being buried. It's a 16-year-old boy who fought from the day he was born with a disease called EB, or epidermolysis bullosa. And, flying him was both, rejoiceful and sad at the same time. It's a disease where their skin doesn't adhere to their the layers of the epidermis, and they have almost like third-degree burns over their entire body.
Wow.
And they're in agony every day. And these kids, even in agony, are smiling. They love being on the plane. The plane becomes part of the healing process. Another kid, John Hudson, he's adorable. He wants to be a pilot when he grows up now. He loves to sit in the right seat and pretend like he's flying. And so I have a saying that I say to everybody that's in our office is that we can't change the diagnosis or a situation that somebody's in, but it's our job to be there for them. We're sad for them, we cry with them, we laugh with them, but that's our job. And I firmly believe that the more good you're around, the more good you want to do.
And this young man that you mentioned who passed away, I believe the quote from him was, "My will to live is greater than my fear of death."
That's actually a quote from my nephew.
Your nephew, okay.
Yes, my nephew passed from medulloblastoma in January, and he fought valiantly for 6 years. And I draw from his strength every day, and I serve in honor of him.
Wow.
And for families like my sister who wanted to know where's the best possible place for my son to get his treatment, for his wife and his 2 kids that he left behind. There's sad things happen every day, but we can all get up and we can all put our feet on the ground every morning and say, how can I help somebody who's going through that? Because it makes you feel good about what you've gone through. There's good in the world, and good can be done every day.
And the more that we tap into that good, into those circles of energy, into those little universes, I mean, we're all part of one big universe, without getting too crazy here, but
yeah, no.
When you put out positive, you attract positive. And when you get involved with people with such strong resolve, your resolve becomes stronger. You'd say that's the case?
Absolutely. We draw strength from the moms, from the husbands, from the wives, from the patients themselves. There have been patients that have said to our pilots, I had no one else.
Right.
We are their support system. If something happens to me, I want you guys need to know. I'm afraid to go because I don't have anybody to call, and we give her strength, but she gives us strength, you know. And it's what these kids, what these parents. I mean, we work with the military. I was telling you that before.
Yeah, tell me a little bit about that.
We have a program called Pals for Patriots, and it's sponsored by MLB.com. And what we do is we go down to Walter Reed.
I'm sorry, MLB, Major League Baseball.
MajorLeagueBaseball.com, yep. And we go down to Walter Reed, and we take veterans that are in treatment, and we take them to Major League Baseball games, for instance, the Yankees, the Mets, Red Sox, or something along those lines. And those are morale-boosting trips. And what we have found, we've been doing it for 2 years now, and what we found is that it boosts their morale and enables them to go back into treatment prepared to face the world. Sometimes it's their first time out of treatment in a big setting, and it's scary to them, but it's also, the pilots have said to me that within the first 3 hours you can see the transition in their personality. They start to relax. I said, what's more normal than a baseball game and a beer with your buddies?
Right.
You know, and last year we took a gentleman. He was amazing. He's such a great guy, and he's so inspirational. His name is David. He really didn't want to be on camera because of his injuries.
Okay.
And I got the pictures back from the Red Sox, and I said, "What? You know, he's all over the pictures." And he said, "I had the best time. Use my pictures."
Wow.
This year, he went on the video and was talking up and felt he wasn't worthy of the trips, but loved the trips. And for me to give back and do something for those who have served and allowed me to sit here and have a conversation with you, nothing's better than that.
One of the things I think science and medicine is starting to come around to recognize is the importance of the patient's mindset. You know, all the chemicals, all the treatment in the world, if the spirit's not there, you're fighting upstream.
Yeah.
And I would imagine what PALS does is by reinforcing that nobody's alone, you're loved and people care about you. That's a big first step in the recuperation. You talk about the gentleman you're just mentioning, how rejuvenated he was.
Yeah, sometimes it's that first phone call to us where we sit there and listen to them for half an hour before we even get through the intake process. We're just hearing them, we're listening to them, and what I love about my board, and which is a completely volunteer board, they do not take any money, they give probably more than anybody else. They fly, they give money, they bring in their own resources, is that it's not, they don't push us to do more and more and more. They want quality. They
Okay.
want to know that we have the patients. My nephew that you mentioned before used to say to every doctor he would meet, he would say, you know, his name, and he would say, do you have me? I want to know that you have me today. I want to know you know who I am. And we take that and spin it and do it with the people. And I say to everybody that works with me, do you have them? Do they know we have them?
Wow.
Because if they know we have them and they know that we'll take care of the transportation, then they can focus more on healing, on getting to the best doctors, on taking care of themselves. And it could be something as they would have been spending an hour and a half trying to figure out how to get there, or 10 hours driving in a car when they can get there a little earlier. And a lot of these hospitals now offer yoga and acupuncture and, like you were talking about, healing the spirit, healing it from the inside out. And that's what we try to enable them to do as well.
About how many patients do you deal with over the course of a year, roughly?
So we're now about doing around 200 flights a month.
A month?
A month.
Wow.
We started in 2010, and we just arranged our 5,000th flight.
Wow. God bless.
We're the fastest growing volunteer pilot organization in the country.
And you just started 2010, so not even 5 years.
Nope.
Wow.
Yeah.
What's the biggest challenge running the organization?
Awareness, which I'm extremely grateful to be on this show. Awareness is huge, and belief that we actually say we'll do what we do. Getting volunteer pilots, we call it a three-legged stool. It's getting pilots to fly, and it's getting hospitals and patients to be aware of what we're doing. And then there's donors. We really could use some corporate donors,
Okay.
and some sponsorships and some support in that way. and because everything we do is completely free,
Okay.
from the air transportation to the ground transportation. And the wonderful thing about us is that if you give us $1, your dollar gets you probably $3 to $5 worth of value, because so much of what we do is donated.
Okay.
The services from the pilots, from the ground transportation, and it's just really, it's a great way to utilize your money. We're very keen and aware of making sure the money goes where it needs to be. And we try to keep all of our costs down. We're running around, I think it's 85%, 90% admin and general costs.
So if a patient needs to be flown somewhere or picked up somewhere, and they rattle off a location, and you try to locate resources in that area, try to find somebody willing to drive them to and from the hospital?
Yeah, we have a mission coordination system. So
Okay.
we primarily cover the Northeast United States. We go anywhere from Maine down to Virginia over to Ohio. That being said, we also link with similar organizations that have the same mission. So we've taken people anywhere from Maine down to Florida. It's not an easy flight to go from New York to Florida in a general aviation aircraft, because you'd have to stop 2 to 3 times. But sometimes it's your only option. So
Right.
we do handle that. We also have Southwest vouchers. We have a limited amount of Southwest vouchers that enable us to offer people longer flights. Anything that's out of our geographic region, and we want to get them from here to California or here to MD Anderson or something like that, we could use that. But what we do is we put the flights up into our system,
Okay.
and then the pilots come into our system and they look at what's available, and they say, oh, there's a flight from Long Island to Boston Children's on next Friday, and I'm available, I'm off. As long as the weather is good, then I'll be able to do that. That's one other thing that we always tell the patients that we fly, is that they have to have a backup plan. Mother Nature isn't always cooperative. Today would be a really flight logistical.
Right, challenging.
Yeah, challenging. So they have to have a backup. That being said, sometimes it's to drive, sometimes it's to postpone their appointment, and sometimes it's to go the day before, because we're always looking at the weather.
Right.
We're always trying to see what are our flights that are coming up and how can we leave the patients. We've never left a patient stranded. Safety is the utmost importance. All of our pilots have 500 hours and are what we call IFR rated, which is Instrument Flight Rules.
Okay.
And which JFK was an IFR rated.
Really?
So yeah, so that means that they can fly in the clouds, they can fly in certain
Right.
meteorological conditions. So safety is the utmost, and we tell the pilots, if you have an issue, you land, we'll support you. They're in charge of the entire flight. They're
Right.
the pilot in command. It's their baby. We are really just the connectors from the patients to the pilots and enabling that connection to happen.
You know, I worked for a man who was a private pilot for about 6 years, and he shared a couple of things with me. One, in terms of taking gambles on planes. He always said, I'd rather be on the ground wishing I was up there than up there wishing I was on the ground. I always keep that in mind.
Yep.
Anytime there's a delay. I was
Yep.
like, there's a delay for a reason. The other thing that he pointed out, and I've always been fascinated by this, he said pilots by their very nature are the most optimistic people in the world, because no matter how crappy their day is going, they can get in their plane and go over the clouds. If it's an overcast day, they go over the clouds and there's the sun in all its magnificent glory, and you realize life does go on. Do you find working with pilots to be interesting like that? Are they an optimistic group?
Absolutely. I find them to be the most optimistic and compassionate. The cost that they incur to do one flight, depending on the aircraft, but even from a Cessna 172, which is a smaller aircraft, up to some of the jets that we have, it's extremely expensive. But aside from the cost of that, they leave their families on a weekend, on a holiday, on a work day. They'll leave their job, and what you just said is actually perfect, because it's wonderful for a pilot to be up there and they get to do it all the time. But when you take a patient into that situation where they're above the clouds, or they're seeing their town from a different area, or even the Pals for Patriots. We just flew 4 guys into the Mets game, and on the way home, the pilot called the air traffic control and asked for clearance to go over ground zero.
Wow.
So these gentlemen, there were 2 single leg amputees, one that was seriously injured, and they're going over the very ground, that sacred ground, which they've been fighting for and they sacrificed so much for. So it offers so much opportunity, and like I said, it's not just about getting to the treatment. There's a whole healing process that takes place on the flight, and it goes to the pilots too. They get so much out of it.
And it's also, I was at a baseball game recently with the Yankees down in spring training, and they honor the vets, and the guys are out there, and you stand and you clap and you feel good, but you get the sense that you want to do more, and you want to thank these men and women for what they did. And this is a great opportunity to go, to do that sort of thing.
Absolutely. We pay for everything that's related to the Pals for Patriots. We have support from MLB.com. They've been phenomenal to us. But we pay for hotels. We pay for food. I have to say, some of the areas that we've gone to, sometimes Del Frisco's or something like that will give us discounts, but for the most part, we're paying for everything that's involved. And what we've heard from the veterans that we've flown is that they are so appreciative because we're not doing anything. We're not trying to get rich on their injuries.
Right.
We are truly, it's an altruistic program. It's all about serving those who have served and honoring them and giving them something that is a unique experience. And the teams have been phenomenal. They go down on the field, they watch batting practice, they're in the dugouts. And like I said, sometimes it's the first time away from the hospital. So.
Right. Do you have a lot of young people volunteering with your organization?
We do. We have. We've had some interns. We've had some volunteers that have come in that are just phenomenal. And actually, we're doing an event that is in Babylon, coming up in the town of Babylon.
Okay.
On July 19th. Sorry, Saturday, and. We're trying to get kids involved because it's called the Urban Race, and it involves having smartphones and figuring out clues.
Okay.
And Jackie in my office has done a great job in trying to bring in some of the younger crowd and get them a little bit more involved, because the younger you are and the more aware you are of our services, God forbid something should come up, they'll know, where to find us.
Well, I'm intrigued by the younger people because they have so much energy and so much positive outlook on life. But also at the spring training game, they were honoring a couple of veterans who had been injured and lost limbs. And at the moment, or right afterwards, my son called and he was very upset about something. I said, well, and the veterans, quote unquote veterans, were also 19, 20 years old, like my son. And I said, Max, and I told him, I said, we just stood up and saluted two men who were missing limbs. Tell me about your problem again. And there was like a silence. He goes, all right, I get it. So it's important lessons to be learned.
Yeah, I bring my kids whenever I can,
right.
And our 1,000th flight happened to be for a double leg amputee, a phenomenal gentleman by the name of Jesse Fletcher, and he also is, I think, 22. And for my kids who are similar ages to see that and to see the sacrifice that he went through, it puts everything in perspective. And I do often mention it if I'm having some sort, you do. You do often mention it. Let's put things in perspective, and it does kind of bring them down because they've witnessed it firsthand. I mean, it's for me, the first time I walked out onto the tarmac and saw a double leg amputee sitting on my chairman's plane, it took my breath away. I literally had to compose myself because they look like babies. They look like my kids,
right.
And it breaks my heart. So if there's anything that we can do to make them have one great day, one unique experience, then we are all on board to do it. And thankfully, MLB.com has just been so supportive, and the teams have been so receptive. And anything they can do to accommodate us, they've done. And we hope to build on that program and see what we can do. And thankfully, when we're down at Walter Reed, there aren't as many wounded being treated there, and that's great news.
Yeah.
But we know that there are some that have already come back prior to our program that haven't received a nice day like this. So we're looking to expand it and figure out how we can help them.
All right, let's just recap. The website is palservices.org.
palservices.org.
Okay, and you always need pilots.
We always need pilots.
Okay.
We want patients to, if anybody knows of any patients, any hospitals that someone in a hospital that might want to learn about what we're doing, and donors would be great.
Okay.
And like our Facebook, we have a program right now. Lightspeed Foundation is we're part of a contest. We could win $10,000, which is huge for us.
Okay.
If you go on our Facebook, you could like us on that. That would help us to win $10,000. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter. It's all connected to our website. You can get it all there at palservices.org. And if anybody wanted to volunteer, they could do that as well.
I mean, even just for the, not even just, but the ground transportation. So I'm not a pilot, I can still get involved
Absolutely.
just by giving rides.
Yeah, and it could be just, you don't have to feel like you have to commit every single week.
Right.
If we had 300 volunteers, you could do one a day. And we don't have one flight coming into Long Island every day anyway. But raising awareness, helping out with fundraisers. If anybody wanted to join and be a part of the fundraiser, the Urban Race, the PALS Urban Race, that's also on our website.
Okay.
We're looking for people to join up, teams. It's a great way to do peer-to-peer fundraising where you can get your friends and your family to sponsor you for $5, $10, $20, whatever you can do. It's a great way to help us raise money, help us raise awareness, and it's going to be so much fun.
Do most of the flights come into New York? Is that where most of the people want to
To
come
be
in for
honest with
trivia?
you,
Yeah.
no, it's all over the Northeast.
Okay.
And we are trudging away and really trying to raise
So
awareness.
you're hopscotching all over the
We're
country.
all over the place.
Okay.
We're having a hard time raising awareness with some of the Long Island and New York hospitals. We've been there, they know we exist, but they're not really pushing it. And I get it, they're extremely busy, and I'm nothing negative
Right.
meant by it, but I just think once they realize how good the service is and we really do follow through with our word, it'll start coming.
Terrific. Wow, what a great thing. What a great thing that
Oh
you're
my
doing
God.
for our veterans and for people who are seeing medical challenges.
Yeah.
And I know just based on the stuff that I do and talking to you that if you get involved with PALS, and the rewards are far greater than any effort or time or money you might spend on it.
I can guarantee it.
Yeah.
The first time you get involved, you feel so good about what you're doing, and your troubles will certainly go to the background, and it'll make you want to get up and go and help somebody else.
And it also give you the resolve to solve your challenges.
Exactly,
And, yeah.
exactly, and you know you're not alone. And,
Right.
And I highly recommend, and also I wanted to say, if there are any organizations that work with anybody that has medical challenges and they're spending money on transportation, we want to partner with them. We want to take away that transportation cost, let them put it towards helping another family, and let's work together. And I highly recommend, if it's not with PALS, with anybody, get out there and give back and do some good, because you'll feel the more good you do, the more good you're surrounded by.
Terrific, absolutely. Well, that is truly beautiful, and thank you so much, Eileen, for joining us this afternoon.
Thank you.
Our guest has been Eileen Minogue from PALS Service, or PALS Service. Patient AirLift Services. The website is palservices.org. My name is Michael Watt, aka Mr. Long Island, and this has been another episode of Mr. Long Island's Search for Truth and Beauty. Thank you very much for joining us.